All right, first ignition tune-up on the Tundra. Let's get this cover out of the way. We can see what we're working on. We've got bank 1 and bank 2. Driver's side is going to be a little bit easier than passenger, so let's work on that. We got to get rid of some of this plumbing in here. Just loosen this up with the 10 mil. Okay, this MAF sensor harness needs to come off of the box. I've got a pair of Kiwi pliers that can get in back here. I'm just going to squeeze the 2 little tabs on this clip gently, and it should release it from the box here. Okay, we got that. Those are the 2 tabs we're talking about. Now we can just unplug the MAF and set this harness to the side. Got a little vacuum hose right on the back of this resonator. I'm using my thumbnail just to push that off. And this little clamp here on this line, this is the breather. There we go. And a big shout out to the like-minded Tundra owners out there taking time out of your weekend to make sure your truck runs the way it should. You guys are asking me in the comments a lot. It's like we're doing this all together. You're asking me, when's the next time you do coolant, or when's brakes, and when's spark plugs? Well, here's spark plugs, and it's neat that we're kind of working on these things together. I have fun. You guys keep me going. Okay, we've got a lot more. Ooh, ow, that was hot. We've got a lot more room to work with here. The service manual has us taking off a couple of these brackets for this wire loom, and also for the water, I think for the heater hoses here. I'm going to try and avoid doing that. I don't want to mess with them, but let's go ahead and remove these clips here for the wire loom. In a lot of cases, you can just kind of lift these little tabs up with your fingernail and they come off. Don't force them. It should be real easy to do. And here's one down here that I think I'm going to need a tool for. Let me see if I can use this to just kind of lift that clip up off of the stud. There we go. Might have to break out the new connector tool. Hold on, let me try. This is a pair of pliers specifically designed for connectors, made by Lyle. So this big half grabs the connector and the other one obviously pushes it in. Oh, wow. First time I've used these pliers. They just came to market. They're not even readily available everywhere yet. They're so new, but wow. If they all go this easy, I would say these pliers are worth it. Not real expensive. Look at that. Man, they just work perfectly, exactly as you'd want them to. Let's see if I can get in and behind this little guy here. Just got to get under those things. These are my least favorite because they always feel like they're about to break. There you go. Let me move you over here. It's a little bit more flexible. Give it just a wiggle. Wow, this is, man, I'm so impressed. It makes this so much easier. I don't even know why I try without them. Can you see what I'm doing here? Let me move you. This hose here I'm dealing with. Let's go ahead and remove it. Why am I being so worried about this thing? Let me give that a twist. Pull it off. Just another breather hose here. Should give me, that's all we're looking for, is just more access, more room to work here. And this is much better than, yeah, that's way better. Let's try this. Oh yeah. So far, no broken connectors. But you heard that one kind of pop as it came out. This coil back here has a rubber boot that's on there. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say this is the most difficult coil to access. I think I got a good solid grip on it. Wow, okay. That was interesting. Show you where I went. Right through here, between the heater hoses, and right straight down through. You can barely see it down in there. Okay, we've got a lot of movement. We're almost ready to go, but the book recommends that we remove the entire air box, and I can see why. It's kind of tough to get down in there. This is going to give us more access. It's only 2 bolts, so why not? then the really tough one back here. Oh yeah, no problem with the swivel. Okay, the coils, I'm gonna twist them. Just give them a good twist like this, and then you can pull them straight out. That twist kind of helps these boots to break free of the porcelain on the spark plugs. Okay, that one left its gasket. There's just two little tabs on the plastic. See that little tab that just kind of grabbed it? All right, the book is telling me that these are a 16 millimeter socket for these plugs. I've never seen a 16 millimeter socket, or plug socket anyway. This is 5/8. This will fit just fine. It's nearly identical to 16. Let's get this down in the easy hole here. There we go. That came out without a fuss, or it broke loose without a fuss. It was still tight, but it's not cracking and groaning and creaking like I've seen in the past with other cars. Let me see if I can just spin this thing out. Okay. It's getting a lot tighter as far as access goes. These heater pipes and hoses starting to get in my way. I know why the book said that you should remove them. This wasn't too bad as far as access with these hoses and everything. So I think we went the right direction in not removing them. I'll reserve final judgment, of course, until we're done, but I think we did all right. All right, let's move on to these guys here. We're gonna get these all installed, and we're gonna fire up the controversy engine. Let's go. First off, we're gonna pull this plug out of the box. If the box is damaged or dented in any way, take it back. Don't even try to use that spark plug. It's just not worth it. And then there's this dielectric grease. If you're going to use dielectric grease, you pour just a little bit right here on the end of the boot and just leave it alone. Now, people don't like that. So another way you can do it is go right down here at the base of the plug. So I don't want to get the top greasy, and I don't want to get the conductor greasy either, because dielectric grease, the word actually means non-conductive. So electricity won't pass through it. And that's a good thing, usually, because if you're going way down here into the bottom of your cylinder head, you've got that rubber boot sort of clinging on down there. You don't want any of that spark to ground out on the head. You want that spark to happen inside the cylinder. That just pulls out. Get you a rubber hose or this installer. It's so easy to use, and I like it better because it's flexible and you're less likely to break something. Another good use for dielectric grease, it forms sort of a seal between the rubber boot on your coil and the spark plug itself. So water, dirt, any sort of nonsense isn't going to get up here towards the connector and cause problems that way. And then number 3, it's grease. It's a lubricant. So the next time we come in here to do our spark plugs, that rubber boot, which is going to be getting old by that time, is not going to be stuck to the porcelain down there. It's going to come right off when you pull them out. So there are a lot of haters of dielectric grease, so I'll give you sort of their argument, be sort of devil's advocate in this particular case. So argument number 1 is, obviously, if you get any of that grease on this conductor, a significant amount of it anyway, you're going to have problems with your coil current flowing through the spark plug and out here. It's going to be stopped by that dielectric grease, which, as I said, is non-conductive. And I guess the final point on this is, sometimes, depending on who is making this grease, it can get dried up and sort of clumpy. Sometimes I'll work on older American stuff, especially outside electrical, like tail lights and stuff like that. They'll use some really nasty dielectric grease and stuff like that. I've actually broken connectors because there was no way to get them off, because that dielectric grease sort of cemented them in there. I guess that's the positives and negatives that I can think of. Use your own judgment, whatever you think is right. This is the way I'm gonna do it. Now let's check the specs on this before we get started. If you don't have a good service manual for your Tundra, get one. This one is a PDF that I was able to download, and whenever I do a job, I print out the instructions for that job. We've got 15 foot-pounds, there you can see that, 15 foot-pounds of torque for these spark plugs. I've left a link for this down below the like button. Just click on that and you can get your set torque wrench for 15 foot-pounds. Engage. The book does not call for lubing up these threads, so they did go in dry. There's your 15. Oh boy, lost my socket. You know what would make a lot of sense, and I didn't even think about it until just now? Locking extension. I only have a few sizes of these, so I'm going to use this one. Made by Gear Wrench, 6-inch one, but it's locking, so I'm going to line up that ball with the hole, and this will stay locked in there. So definitely recommend using that if you're doing this job at home. If you don't have a locking extension, it's in the tool store. I like it when jobs go smooth, but I also like having the ability to solve problems when they come up. And that ability for me usually comes from having a toolbox full of tools. So if you can, I would recommend investing in some decent stuff. I'm over here on the side of the car now because I want to pull straight out. There we go. Yeah, I was over that way by the front bumper. This is much better and safer. Pull straight out if you can. I'm gonna put the coils back in the same cylinders they came out of. I'm not 100% sure if the computer keeps track of individual coils and adjust for that, but in case it does, it'll be all right. I suppose I could look that up, but just not feeling up to it today. Did I seriously do that? Check this out. The connector is stuck behind the coil. Good night. Hold on. Believe that? It was stuck in there too. Like it did not want to come out. Now this is the one that had that weird little rubber boot on there, remember? So I'm gonna have to kind of get this on there and then pull the boot over it. There it goes. All right, I'm going up front here now. We've got VVT, intake and exhaust. All right, here's that hose that I had pulled off temporarily. Not bad. Now let's get that air box back in here. I just want to thank you for being part of this community. You guys are pretty awesome. I like talking to the other Tundra people out there, other Toyota owners. They really have a respect for a car that is built to not let you down. Make sure I got that MAF sensor wire. There it is. Bring that around here. Come on, little guy. There we go. I like reading your guys' comments. I like answering your questions too. I like being helpful. Sometimes I can be. All right. And we've got those hoses over yonder. Breather on. Clamp engaged. So as we're winding down, I'll remind the new folks that I have done a lot of videos as far as maintenance on this Tundra, and I've put them all into a playlist. Right over there on your screen, right above that, is a link to the Amazon store where I keep all of the tools that I actually use, like stuff like this. Locking extensions came in clutch today. Don't forget about these pliers from Lyle, fantastic. I don't put junk in there. I don't put stuff that I wouldn't buy myself or haven't bought myself. Everything there I own, I use, and I recommend. I guess I've loaded you up on enough homework for today, so we're gonna end this video with the sound of the startup. Here we go.